All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. Call this meeting to order. This is March 6th, 2024, Standard Specifications and Detail Committee. Move into agenda item number 2, the call of the audience. An opportunity will be provided to the members of the public to address the committee on items that are not on the agenda that are within the jurisdiction of MAG. Informational items or on items on the agenda for discussion, but not for action. Members of the public attending in person are asked to fill out a request to speak form. Comments must not exceed 3 minutes in length. Total of 15 minutes will be provided for the call to audience agenda item unless the chair requests an exception to this limit. Members of the public attending in person may comment on agenda items posted for action at the time the item is heard. Those attending virtually may submit written comments related to this meeting through the MAG website at azmag.gov/comment and indicate for which meeting the comment is intended. Comments must be received at least 2 hours prior to the posted start time for the meeting. Comments received by the deadline will be provided to the members of the committee in advance of the meeting for consideration. Comments received after the deadline will be provided to the committee members at the next scheduled meeting of the committee, except for comments specific to an agenda item for that meeting. Please note the comments for specific agenda items received after the deadline will be forwarded or will not be forwarded and would need to be resubmitted prior to the next meeting of the committee. So we did receive some comments. Those comments will be posted with the meeting minutes. Is that correct, Gordon?
Yes, we did receive 3 comments online. Those have been forwarded to the committee members and will be included as part of the meeting minutes. I have not received any request to speak cards today in person.
Thank you, Gordon. Agenda item number 3 is the approval of February 7th, 2024 meeting minutes. Gordon will pull those up. If you need to refresh your memory on the meeting minutes, feel free to look at your screen. Keep in mind that the meeting minutes, you could also follow the previous meeting on YouTube. It is broadcasted there. All right, at this point, I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Gene, I'll motion.
Mr. Chair, this is Warren. I had one correction that Gordon, I had emailed you after the fact. I can speak to it if I'm able.
Yes, please do, Warren.
Item 5, second paragraph. Gordon, if you wouldn't mind rolling up to that. In that second paragraph where it starts, Warren White said, it should say Warren White said he plans to update the connections detail to add the twist lock connection, parentheses, snake bite, which is more robust than the direct bury wire nut. Period.
Thank you, Warren. Good catch on that.
Warren, was what you just said in the email you sent me, so I can just copy and paste it from there?
I believe so. If I may have paraphrased in the email I sent you, but I can send you specifically that verbiage if that helps you.
Yes, that would. So I get it in the minutes correctly. Thank you.
I'll send it. Otherwise, everything looks good. Thank you.
All right, so
So if the person who wants to move would include the minutes plus the correction that Warren White has just outlined, we can go forward that way.
So yeah, if we can get another motion of the corrections, we can go ahead and move forward.
Yeah, Gene, this is Craig with Buckeye. I'll go ahead and motion with the corrections Warren just spoke about.
Thank
And I'll
you.
second.
Thank you, Warren. Appreciate it. We'll get those corrections on there. I appreciate you bringing that up. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number
I'm
4.
sorry, before we move on, I need to take a roll call vote.
Thank you. Let's move to a roll call vote.
All right, this time we're starting in reverse. Youngtown, Tempe, Surprise, Scottsdale. Scottsdale, are you there? Phoenix. Phoenix. Peoria. Peoria. Mesa,
Yes.
Maricopa County.
Yes.
Thank you. Goodyear. Glendale,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
El Mirage.
Yes.
Thank you. Chandler,
Yes.
Buckeye.
Yes, with the corrections that Warren White spoke about.
Okay, thank you. And Avondale.
Yes.
Okay, getting back to people we may have missed, Scottsdale. And I think those are the only ones that are on. Thank you. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Gordon. All right, now we can move on to agenda item number 4. This is case 23-09, proposed new section for 632 water and sewer tracer wire installation and the related details. This would be to create a new section for 632 for installation of tracer wire for sanitary sewer systems. In addition, it'll be revisions to section 610, 615, and 616. They'll be referenced in the new section 632. New construction details are also proposed to show the tracer wire tree connections and tracer wire for water services, fire hydrants, sewer services, and manholes. I did notice that, or I did circle back with my water distribution group, and they had a comment or two that our representative was going to take back to the water sewer working group. I don't recall what that comment was. It was something to do with the termination inside of one of the boxes, but we'll open this up for discussion if anybody has any questions or wants to discuss this topic.
Mr. Chair, I might just add, this update does include some comments from City of Phoenix Incorporated, some of their comments that I received from them. I summarized the March updates right there. So that's what's new here. In addition, I have shared this out to another entity. The company is Copperweld. I sent that out last week. I have not received any feedback yet, though.
Okay, thank you for that update, Warren. Does anybody else have any comments, questions, anything they want to bring up on the tracer wire? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move to agenda item number 5. These are new cases for 2024. We have Case 24-01 miscellaneous corrections. We're looking at section 325.8 quality control. Second paragraph, remove the extra space in shall. There's another miscellaneous correction that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention. I'd like to put it under miscellaneous corrections, and that's to align MAG 120 with MAG 270 for the verbiage related to the concrete adjustment and the score marks, the radial score marks around. I believe it's 120. 120 does not include the radial score marks. Thank you, Gordon, for bringing that up. 270 does. Everything else matches as far as the type of concrete, MAG AA, the thickness, the diameter, everything else. It matches perfectly. It's just that one item we're missing. I'd like to get some support in moving the radial marks onto 120. If we have support with that, we'll get that on for miscellaneous corrections. Does anybody have any comments or questions on this topic?
That's a great catch because I didn't even know that it wasn't in there.
Just like everything else, this is stuff that's brought to my attention by others, and I appreciate that. Warren, can we get, or I'm sorry, Gordon, can we get this under would you be able to put this under miscellaneous corrections for me, please, for the next meeting?
Certainly.
I think, to me, it's a no-brainer. I'd like to get some, input from the rest of the voting members or even industry for that matter. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
So we potentially have one more. Gordon's going to bring it up right now.
Okay.
And see what the consensus of the group is. At our last working group meeting, we had something brought to us in MAG section 714. Let's see if Gordon can bring it up here. Give him a second. It's easier if it's on the screen, probably, to kind of walk everybody through it at the same time. Was on. No, but I can resend it real quick, but it was on the 16th. It was back on the 16th. I can probably resend it just as fast. Oh, there, you got it quick. Never mind, Gordon's quicker than I am. No, so it was that one. Yes, right there. So if you would hold that one up. So this is it in regards to 714-2 and in microsurfacing and the job mix formula, if you can roll up just a little bit. So technical bulletins is everything. It's basically the International Slurry Surfacing Association. These are all documents done by them. It's been referenced in MAG for a long time. Very similar to some of the AASHTO or AST updates when we get them. It was brought up to us that in the 2022 revision, TB 147 for the second one up from the bottom, the specific gravity maximum has been removed from that technical bulletin as of 2022. That was the only change to it, and they were asking basically if we update and follow that bulletin as listed, there's no requirement there's no maximum specific gravity now is a requirement within the new bulletin.
I don't know if that would be miscellaneous correction. I think that would lean more toward a case. And do you have the technical bulletin?
It's another one of those attachments, I believe. So there's the two versions. So you've got the 08 version, and the 22 version, so you can see the differences, and then the response from ISSA themselves, and as to the reason why. I have to roll through that one a little bit. Yeah, I'm trying to remember where it's at in here specifically. Maybe before that. So loaded wheel test, keep going. And it might just be in the old one. The fact that it's not in the 22 version, it might just be in the old one where it's no longer even mentioned in the 22.
So they deleted it completely, the
Yes.
paragraph.
Did they provide a reason why on their update?
The email actually explains it very well from ISSA themselves as the reasoning why. Yep, actually, that might actually be better. Gordon, if you pull up the email, the email response there from them.
Are any of the voting committee members aware of this? If you are, let me know. Of this change?
So there was the inquiry and then the reason behind it, he begins to go through there too, but we can set this up as a case as well. Sometimes when it's just updating one, it's always like, where exactly should it fall? Should it fall?
Yeah, I
under
think,
mis-
I
under
totally
miscellaneous
understand
or-
where you're coming from. I think we should move it as a case, just because it is technical, it does involve specific gravity
Okay.
and whatnot. And you have the backup documentation for it. That'll give us, everybody an opportunity to review it.
Okay.
And, we could put it up as a case. I'd like that.
Or do we add that as a case going forward? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is one of the things that is an issue when we reference these kinds of things and then we take part of the verbiage language out of it and then incorporate it into one of the specs. This becomes a problem then when that gets changed or gets whatever. Now we've got to go in and we've got to make a change to our specification. That's why we try as best we can as we go forward to, if we're referencing an ASTM or an AASHTO document or something for a test method or a standard or whatever, try to just utilize that and not try to pull any language out of it
Yes.
and put it into the actual section of the MAG spec, so that as those things change, then MAG changes right along with them and we don't have to go through this kind of.
And I agree with that.
question.
Yeah, I agree with that strategy. I think that works best.
And so if you read there kind of at the bottom, and after much discussion, they didn't believe that it had any. So the original test and the original technical bulletin that came out of here was Mr. Ben Benedict did most of this testing in his garage in the 70s. And for some reason, the materials he was using thought that was just, hey, I'll put that in there as the maximum. There was never really any reason as to why.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's move it forward as a case. It's easy enough to do.
Yep. Gordon, do you have a case number for that one so I can jot it down by chance?
Yes. This should be case 24-03, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
And this was only for micro, or is it also for slur?
Supposedly it was. Supposedly it was, this was the only place it was brought up. We'll have to double check that one as well.
All right, thanks for bringing that to everybody's attention. Anything else for miscellaneous corrections? Anybody else find anything out there that we need to get under this agenda item? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to agenda item number 6. This is newer potential cases for 2024. This is where the members can present any new cases for consideration. This is kind of where the slurry seal will fall under. So the first item under here, it was brought to my attention by another non-voting member of MAG that there was a word search done and potentially some words were flagged as potentially needing to be looked at. I went through a lot of these words and in context throughout MAG. And in my opinion, they did not change the technical message that was being delivered. So it's my opinion to leave them the way they are, but also as we move forward to make sure that we're concise in our language as we are writing this technical publication, and make sure that the language stays concise. But other than that, does anybody have anything else on the gender neutral language and the words that were flagged during the grammar check? You can refer onto the MAG website to see some of the some of the language that was flagged and how, some of the potential changes that can take place. But like I said, it doesn't take away from the actual technical message that's coming through. And that's what this publication is. There's also the skid resistant trench plating. I don't know if that's going to come in anything. I know we discussed with TSR. I had reached out to TSR and they do have some, but they do need lead time on that for areas and intersections. Do we have any other potential cases for 2024?
We still have one other one that we're working on, trying to get some language. That's liquid antistrips and mag 710. We're still working on that one. Hopefully next month we can have it in as a case, but we'll see. It might take two to get to that point.
Okay, great.
Mr. Chair, this is Warren. Maybe once we get our minds a little more around the PROAG update, the new federal, now that the federal ruling is complete, I think there's some upcoming training that's related to that might answer some of those questions. So in April, once I hear more about that, or other members hear more about that, that might lead to us discussing some changes to the curb ramps potentially. So that's still out there for a potential 2024 case.
Okay, keep us up to date on that as it progresses.
We have one more also as well in the asphalt and the concrete materials group, and specifically in regards to kind of 719 and 326 and the polymer modifieds. There's been a lot of people leaning towards the EVAC side of those gradations and people potentially wanting to use those, that maybe we amend those sections to more align with that, to give people an avenue to use them through MAG that are not EVAC cities, and see where that process goes. So that could potentially end up being a case as well.
Or we can get the EVAC cities to follow MAG.
I think it'd be good to, Mr. Chairman, this is Jim Badowich with Avondale. We're experimenting now and trying with these EVAC mixes because we're just seeing, excuse me, we're just seeing premature aging like I've never seen before. With standard mixes now, and so we're looking at the polymer modified, TR mixes. So I think, again, with the interest of trying to make MAG more inclusive, I think we need to try to work towards including those mixes in MAG and the corresponding changes for testing and anything else, because it's a little different. So I want to make sure we do that. So that's just my 2 cents on it. So I'm glad to see there's movement towards that, because something's going on with the cement, the binder and this stuff. It's and I know we made some positive, with eliminating the engine oil additives. That's a positive thing, but there's more needs to be done, and maybe even look at the PG rating. Because we're in such a hot climate, and a high UV area. I just don't think. I think we need to reevaluate that, and I think there's some interest now growing with the materials group and other agencies.
So you stated that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of, what I'm hearing is that you're seeing premature aging with the MAG mixes.
Yeah, that's what I've experienced. So,
okay.
I mean, we're doing 1-year warranties, and the pavement looks like it's 5 years old already. It's just, I don't understand it. So
It's oxidized or it's raveling.
a little bit of both.
Huh.
And it passed. It passes all the tests initially. But it just seems to be aging prematurely. So
Have you narrowed this down to the Marshall mixes or the Super Pave mixes?
probably more Marshall.
Okay. Yeah, I know the EVAC mixes, they've been out there a long time. I mean, when I got in the business in 99, shortly after that, I was introduced to the EVAC mixes. They put a lot of engineering and a lot of research into those mix designs. At one point we were making them. I was part of that group that made those mixes and sent them out to the East Valley. So yeah, I'd be curious to see what you guys bring. I'm looking forward to it as far as a new case.
I mean, the materials group is great, you know, looking at stuff like this. Well, I think we're trying to stay ahead of the curve in that, but it's just, I don't know, we need to, you know, maybe open it up to maybe more, you know, more mixes to choose from. And then at the same time, maybe look at the current mix designs and the, you know, the components of it. You know, and like we got problems, you know, with the aggregate, you know, that's why we're dealing with wrap and, you know, other recycles, you know, because, you know, good materials getting harder and scarcer to find. So we got to, you know, adjust it for, you know, going forward because of the challenges with the material, you know, availability. So, but at the same time, we're not, I don't want to, you know, sacrifice, you know, the age that this stuff is supposed to be performing, the performance timeframes. You know, again, understanding you got to do proper maintenance. That's obvious, but you know, 2 to 3 years out, this stuff shouldn't be looking as bad as I'm seeing it. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what other agencies are experiencing.
Well, we have, from my experience, we have some of the best mineral aggregates on this side of the hemisphere. So we just have to go out further to get them, right?
Hey, Jim, this is Greg. If you have time, if you can come to our next working group, that would be fantastic.
Sounds good.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Chairman, if I could kind of circle back on what Warren White was talking earlier on ProWag. We're finding the same thing where some of our details that are in MAG right now, they're kind of questionable. Obviously, the Access Board has not, well, the Access Board has adopted theirs, but DOJ and DOT have not yet accepted what the Access Board has written. They've got a letter out there saying most likely they're going to accept that, but it still has not been accepted. Regardless, where we're at, what we've seen, just the other day, talking section R203 6.1.6, where it talks about the ramps themselves and what's required. How some of our single ramps are drawn. And maybe it's an interpretation, but I'd like to bring it up, talk with Warren about it, but how some of our single ramps are drawn. I don't think they quite meet what ProWag's got in there. So, again, kind of like what Warren was saying, we need to kind of circle back and update everything. But I think we need to start probably looking into that.
Yeah, I'd stay in compliance with ProAg.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes. So,
Okay. Yeah, let's take a look at those. Let's bring those cases forward.
I agree, Craig. We may have to, I know Gordon has alluded to it, we may have to resurrect the ADA working group just for a specific discussion on that once we have a little more information.
yes, absolutely. We've got a couple solutions on what we looked at, and we can talk about it offline on the working group, but yeah, I think that'd be great.
Sounds good. Maybe we can plan for, like I said, I have the training in April. Maybe I'll have some more. So maybe in May, maybe we can look at maybe having a working group discussion, May or June.
That sounds good.
That would be great. Thank you. Thank you guys for bringing that up. Any other potential cases for this agenda item?
Mr. Chairman, our working group, the Water and Sewer, we're working on, you know, modifying, clarifying the mandrel testing for deflection of installed pipe. So I don't know if that's going to be ready this year. We're going to try really hard. So that may come forward.
That's an item that the working group is actively working on, correct?
Yeah, and we've got a lot of interest from the contractors too, which is really encouraging. So again, it's just getting more, clarification on, the diameter that we're supposed to be looking for. Is it the mean or average? There's some confusion there, and we just need to nail it down. And then, the actual mandrel itself needs to be, clarified and more standardized, so that we're getting, accurate results for the test. So.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. That's why we're pulling the mandrel to look for that deflection and get an accurate reading on that deflection, whether it's in compliance or not for for the construction, for the completion of construction and the 1 year, if you choose the 1 year deflection test per mag. So yeah, that's an important item for sure when it comes to your PVC.
We're pushing for that, and then I don't know, we're looking into maybe looking at the some of the properties of the manhole ring and covers. There seems to be industry push to make them a little bit supposedly stronger and lighter. So that's always, it generates discussion, but I don't know if that'll be ready this year, but.
Related to the manhole frame and cover, you're not sure, you don't think that we're going to push for a case this year on that then?
Well, we get a sponsor, you know, the industry seems to push and wants to, you know, make some changes in dimensions and they're claiming it's stronger and also weight reduction.
Yeah, the weight was the biggest concern, right, Jim?
Right. Yeah, we don't want to make them too light.
And
But,
the,
you know,
the last
apparently there's data that says, you know, that they're okay if they get lighter. I don't know. It's. I want one more. I want to see more input from other manufacturers, not just one manufacturer pushing it. So.
I would agree. And where we left off on that, it sounded like that supplier in particular wanted to take the weight out of the frame and not necessarily the cover, potentially remove the ribs from the cover to allow for a stronger cover. But I was actually expecting to see something coming from Nina or one of the, I think Nina, it was Nina that did they did the presentation on frame cover. I was expecting to see something from them this year, but that's up to them, finding a case sponsor to bring that forward. I know they took good notes on the opposition and some of the concerns, and it's up to them to go through those and then bring it as a case with a sponsor. But thank you for that update.
All right. And the other thing that might surface this year is an additional pipe material spec for the Hobos, basically the fiberglass pipe. The FRP pipe, it won't be called Hobos. It's, you know, the generic will be called, you know, FRP, fiberglass reinforced pipe. So there's a push for that because a lot of the boring companies now, the large diameter boring companies are utilizing that because it's faster, the installation's faster and just as strong. And you know, the railway companies have approved it. So, you know, we just need to catch up with what the industry's doing on that end of it. So we might include a case to add FRP pipe to the materials.
And that would be intended for direct bury. Is that correct?
Either or, direct bury or jack and bore.
Okay, thank you.
Now, it's been around for a while, you know, so, you know, that's a lot of these materials, you know, they get tested at different agencies, different applications. And so which is good. So we got some, you know, data and some, you know, experience with it. And so I think at this point it's, you know, it's a good idea to incorporate it now as an option in mags.
Yeah, we've used some fiberglass pipe in the past, in particular the Hobos, but used it inside of a host pipe. That's my experience with it. But yeah, I'd like to see something. You bring something forward. All right, do we have anything else for that agenda?
Mr. Chairman, on that, I do have some experience on jack and bore use of the Hobos pipe. There is some pipe that's been, I think it's been installed for well over 15, 20 years in the valley. So if there's some need to look at some of the examples of how that's been done for large high voltage electric jack and bore jobs. So I do have some examples if that would be useful.
Oh, interesting. Thank you, Peter. All right, we'll move into agenda item number 7. Items proposed to be heard outside of right-of-way cases under consideration. This is a case that was carried forward from 2023. New vegetated or rock bioswale. This is proposes a new vegetated or bioswale detail and related specifications. As most of the members already know, we've set the framework for the outside of the right of way. Now we can start populating with details and specifications for that publication. Who do we have? We have Brashear and Peter sponsoring this case, correct?
Yes. I didn't know if Bashir was on the call today or not.
No, he's not on today.
Okay, so we did have a new submittal. It's really just to get the numbers finally in there. So the references toward the standards and the detail numbers are now shown on there. There's nothing else that really changed on it. So we're still in that process of wanting to get any more comments that we have up to this point, so we can get this one put to rest.
Have you received many comments up to this point?
Last year, we did get some. We made those changes last year when we were still working through it. I haven't, as far as I know, we haven't received any new comments probably the last 8-9 months.
Peter, I've got some comments. I've been viewing it, and I think it's probably best. I'll just email them over to have you start looking at them. It's probably more than we want to go through in this meeting.
Okay,
So-
good.
Let me just start by emailing you those comments, and then whichever ones we want to address in the meeting next month would be great.
Thank you very much. That is really appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. I shared this with my environmental group and their comment was, woohoo, yeah, right on. It's about time we start seeing this. All right.
Very good.
Does anybody have any questions or any other discussion on this topic? Thank you for the update, Peter. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 8, outside of the right of way. This is for the thermoform PVC drain basins. This is also for outside the right of way document. This is to integrate these basins and use more of a, I guess, a more cost-effective way to develop outside of the right of way. I know last time we were talking about the concrete collar in the high traffic areas. Warren, do we have any updates on this case?
I don't have anything new to share other than the update that we gave in February, unless it's been discussed in the outside right away.
Now, I think we were waiting for additional comments on that. We talked about it last meeting, some suggested things for the committee to look at in terms of the details themselves. Are they detailed sufficiently for you, specifically with the grates? Items like that, review the notes if there's something. So I want to make sure we get comments on this one before we move too far forward with it.
Okay, I know my comment from, I don't know if it was the last meeting or the previous meeting, was just based on the apron around the frame and cover to align with the adjustments similar to what you see out in the right of way with the MAG AA concrete, just to keep that frame secured.
Sounds good, Mr. Chair. I'll make sure we share that out with Nick Burton with ADS to make those updates.
All right, thank you, Warren. Anybody else have any questions, comments on this item? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the items proposed to be heard. Other items, this is agenda item number 9, the working group reports. We can get some reports from the chairs for the water sewer. We'll start with the water sewer working group.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. So we met on February 20th. 1:30 online only. So we basically just kind of talked about kind of what we've already discussed previously here. We had a little more discussion on the locator wire. I don't think Warren was there, but we had some discussion. Warren, did you get any feedback on that?
I did not. I apologize for not making that meeting. I was
Yeah, I
there
don't
for the next week though, Jim.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got my dates mixed up. I apologize.
Oh, sorry. So, but yeah, we don't have too much to add. I just, I think that I think there's, just we want to make sure we cover the testing part of it. Other than that, I think we're doing really good on it. So, we had some discussion from Nina on the covers, on the manhole covers. Some of their justifications why, and so we had some good discussions on that. So, but there is a concern with the weight aspect of it. So we'll see where that goes. And then we had a little discussion again on the FRP pipe I was talking about earlier. The main push for using it is, and this discussion was for casing, large diameter casing for boring for jack and bore. We've got an industry guy on that on board, so we'll work with him on getting a hopefully spec developed. What else? That was really about it. We didn't have any representatives, on some of the other items. There was a talk about, maybe adjusting the polymer concrete manhole bases to get rid of some voids. There's some potential for voids, I guess, in the manufacture. So we want to make sure that we cover that. So, again, as you get new materials, new specs, as they get tried out in the real world, you find out things that need to be done to maybe tweak the detail. So we're gonna look at that possibly. That's about it. So we're gonna meet again. Next meeting will be March 19th, 1:30 online.
Okay, great.
And I just want to say we're getting some really good interest from the industry contractors. It's really encouraging, to see, and again, industry people as well. They want to get their materials in there. So, we kind of have to pump the brakes, make sure we got to make sure it's not specific to one manufacturer. So that's always the challenge, making it generic. But we want to be inclusive. But still be concerned with, keeping it fair for everybody to participate. And then a lot of these new materials, the challenge comes in with installation, like with flexible pipe. So, where you got to be more concerned about how you install it. So that's always a concern. Anyways.
Well, and the industry is bringing the technology, and then we are maintaining it. And so it's great that they're at the table and they're participating, and you guys are having that dialogue and creating these standards. Without having industry included in this, we'd be still driving on cobblestone roads, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can't create or modify spec that nobody can build. So you got to have industry, you got to have their input. That's
My relationship is important. I agree.
Anyways, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. All right, we'll move into the asphalt materials and concrete working group. Greg, do we have any updates on that?
I will take it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met on Thursday, February 15th. It was a hybrid meeting. We are meeting in person and encouraging in-person involvement if we can. We are providing lunch because we do it right at noon. And if you show up virtually, we will eat in front of you. I'm just just always kind of a thing like, haha, you're not here. Anyway, most of our discussion, the meeting lasted about an hour and 25 minutes. The whole discussion was just a quick overview for a couple of folks, just on the approved case 2402 from last month. And the other three items that took up the rest of the time were the technical bulletin from 714 that we kind of discussed earlier. That's now going to be case 24-03. And then we're going to, not only did we talk about, but we'll continue to talk about liquid antistrip and what that might look like in 710 while providing protections for all parties involved. And then also the updating of 719 and 326 to kind of take a look at the gradation, binder content, and acceptance values of that to more aligned as we spoke about earlier. That was pretty much it. The meeting was adjourned about 1:35. Our next meeting is Thursday, March 21st at noon. It'll be hybrid also, but we will have lunch at the ARPA building if everybody's welcome.
Y'all been pretty busy. Sounds like you're,
It's good.
yeah, sounds like you're progressing. Good
Good.
job. All right, we'll move into the outside of right-of-way working group. Peter, can you give us an update on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we had a very well-attended meeting on the 15th of February. We fully utilized the time and probably could have gone longer. So we're starting to get a lot more involvement. So we talked about the two cases that are the ones we've already gone through. Most of our time is really spent talking about the new potential cases. Or not the new cases, I'd like to call them at this point. The spillway detail, I was able to get that drafted in rough form, so that is now out. It's concrete spillways. That's that connection between behind the sidewalk and to the sediment trap that has already been put in the MAG standard. So we've got that now drafted up. It's out for comment within the working group, and hopefully next time we're going to have some comment reviews. We'd like to see that, if not the next meeting, the meeting after, that we'll be able to introduce that as a case for for your consideration. Detention tanks, there was quite a lively discussion. That case is moving forward, but right now it looks like the work done by Keith Kesty and Zach Hubbard, they have gone through the existing CMP specifications in MAG right now. And they're finding several items that are either out of date or need to be updated. And that was one thing we wanted to talk about. And Gordon, I'm not sure if we had a separate time set aside. We'd mentioned about getting something to the committee to look at before we move forward with that. Did that by chance happen, or?
It's not on today's agenda.
Okay.
It was on the Water Sewer Working Group agenda.
Okay.
At the last meeting. It was the last topic that was taken up. And so Zach, who initially started in the meeting, had to leave before we got to his topic. So I don't know if you got any feedback on it yet.
Okay, let me bring that one up though, because that one, they did go through it, and it's kind of down to, do we make up new standards for the outside right of way? But CMP is CMP. It's the material. I think one thing we want to look at very seriously is looking at updating the existing MAG standards. That's another nice outgrowth of having the working groups, where we find something that's in the existing standards, we can make the changes. Then we utilize that material for an outside right-of-way specification. For example, the underground storage tank. So that one is going to be moving forward. My recommendation would be is we look at cleaning up the existing MAG spec, and then we reference back to it, as opposed to making two different specifications. So that one, I think we probably are going to see much sooner rather than later on. The actual underground storage tank details are coming together. I think we're another few meetings away from getting that one out as a case for review.
And those are also CMP?
Well, CMP, there's CMP, there's the other materials, concrete, and I'm trying to remember what they,
So it's not
other stuff other than just CMP.
Okay, it's not specific to corrugated metal pipe then.
There will be a specific detail for corrugated, but there's specific details for the different material types.
Okay.
Like HDPE, Peter, those type of arches, HDPE arches systems.
Yeah, thank you. For some reason, it was just losing in my head on the material. Yes. So Keith is really working on that with, that's where Zach Hubbard and the material vendors are involved with that, contacting those folks. So yeah, those are moving forward, so we can get those ones. I really want to get that out this year and get it into your hands. Okay. The next other cases we have upcoming, we made some developments with the stormwater harvesting basins. That kind of goes hand in hand with the bioswale detail. The other one is a rough draft that was put forth, was infiltration trenches, basically different details that could be utilized within different aspects of outside right-of-way work. It could either be in a trench on a roadside or in a basin. So we're looking at different ones. We took existing standards that other agencies had developed, and we put those in as the example ones. The other topic Scroll down there. Yeah. So the other ones actually got into was moving mag specifications into the outside right of way, existing ones, or finding the old ones. This is reviving one that we talked about years ago. If we had an outside right of way book, what would we do? So I'm kind of throwing this out as a thought to the committee members in terms of things that are they really in the right of way? Or if they're not in the right of way, should we be moving them? Other ones we had, like the Terrazzo sidewalk one was a retired one. But so it kind of came up with a list of items for thought. Sediment trap, I think, was the obvious one. It is definitely outside the right of way. We probably would like to move that to the new document now that we've got that. But those are different ones that we wanted the committee to think about. And again, anybody that comes up with other ones, they think of standards and or details that really are outside right of way or predominantly outside right of way. Maybe we should be moving them to the new group. And then we had some discussions on some potential other cases, like the wood mulch detail, pervious pavers. We did get a few new people joining us. Rafi came in and was talking about the potential of the backflow enclosure, the backflow enclosures themselves. So we suggested that they talk to the water and sewer working group, and let's move maybe toward getting the actual backfill, the valving that we took off of the prior mags, to start looking at that as the outside right of way case, and maybe they could start helping us with that. So made some progress on that. Our next meeting is March 21st. It'll be an online meeting only. I'm hoping in April we can go ahead and do a hybrid meeting, but we'll be at 11 o'clock. I'm open to any questions.
Adrian, this is Warren.
Thank you.
That's a lot. That's a lot there. Thank you.
It's busy.
Is the we touched on this last year, talking about an alternate to the double ring infiltrometer for perk test. I can't remember the name, but we looked at an option, and I think people are kind of interested in that. Is that still kind of on that outlier radar here?
Yes,
Okay.
it's on it is on the list. Nobody's jumped up saying they wanted to do it, and I think Greg Creaser was the one that talked about it, of course, with his health problems. I think that's kind of slowed it down, but it's definitely on the list of things to be looked at. If we can get somebody to volunteer to work on it, it'd be great.
I was interested. Maybe next year or later this year we can talk about that.
Very good.
And also, City Chandler has a detail for outside of the right of way for retention basins, basically specifically for temporary retention basins. We use it a lot on a CIP project. Seems like our streets folks like it, since they maintain the temporary retention basins until the developers take them on. And then obviously when it redevelops, it becomes a permanent retention basin. But at the bottom of this basin, there's like a mulch pit type of thing. That means we don't have to put in dry wells in those type of temporary situations, but I can share that with you if you're interested.
I would definitely like that. Maybe that would be something we'd want to put with that infiltration detail we're talking about. There are different options that could be used for different things. That could be an ideal one, because that's the whole purpose of one of those, which was to not have to put a dry well in, but accelerate percolation by digging down, putting rock on instead of having a full dry well in there. So yeah, I'd definitely like to look at that, maybe putting it with the infiltration trench.
Okay. I'll send an email to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the update, Peter. Appreciate it. Any other? This was only for information, so really, there's really no questions.
I had just a couple
Okay, go
couple
ahead.
quick comments on the list of potential details or specs to move out of Meg and into the outside right of way. If people agree to that, I think now would be a good year to do that, since we're creating this new edition of the Mag book, and we're also trying to populate and create this new manual that's somewhat substantial. So I think that's something we should probably take a look at this year if possible. The other comment I wanted to make is getting back to the corrugated metal pipe. At the water sewer working group, I do remember there were some comments regarding the pipe's corrosion, and there was kind of a a poll of how many people are still using it in the agencies, and it wasn't used that much. And there was question on, should we update the MEG standard if we're not using it, or should this go back to the outside right away and update for what it is used for like these detention tanks? So that's kind of an open question, and other agency members might want to chime in on if this is something that they use and still want in MEG.
Thank you, Gordon. So I'll just comment on that real quick. For outside of the right of way, you know, I have some experience with using the corrugated metal pipe, and we did see corrosion with that, depending on the type of material it was bedded in and how long it would last. But a lot of that's really, if it's outside of the right of way, a lot of that needs to fall on the developer, and it's really their responsibility at that point to maintain that and to choose that product. So we just got to be careful or be cognizant of that as well. If we're calling it outside right away, the developer wants to use a product that's, you know, more cost effective, that option is there. So I guess we're not eliminating the CMP. We will be including the corrugated metal pipe, but we'll have other types of pipe in there as well. Is that correct? We won't be directing them to be using, and the outside of right of way group, we won't be direct to use one specific product. There will be choices, correct?
Correct. That's the idea, that there would be multiple options. And with the CMP in particular, there's going to be, and I know it's a design issue, and we're taking the liberties of being outside right of way to go through that aspect, that certain aspects of design have to be considered. It is a construction detail, but that construction needs to be incorporate good engineering designs. And so there is going to be some verbiage in there on CMPs that best practice kinds of ideas.
Fair enough. Thank you, Peter. All right, we'll go ahead and move into agenda item number 10, general discussion. This is where we discuss interest in specifications or technologies, new technologies. I wanted to bring up, see if there's any interest in cast in place concrete pipe presentation. Bluecor had reached out, Bluecor Contracting had reached out. They would like to do a presentation to the committee for cast in place for use outside of the right of way. I'm definitely open to that. I'd want to see if I get any support from any of the other members. They'd like to see a presentation on that.
Mr. Chair, we've seen that presentation here in Chandler, and we ended up adding that as an option for our underground storage systems, retention systems. So
Okay, great.
I'm open to it. So
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, yeah, in Avondale, we just tried it on a project, and it was kind of small scale, but it was, you know, again, it's just another option, you know, besides the CMP that I think is a good place for it outside of right of way. So yeah, I'd like to see a presentation on that. So
Cast in place has been used for a long time, right?
yeah, it has.
It's getting better, and it's more uniform, and it's getting better with the technology. It's not just a blob of concrete with a hole in the middle anymore.
It's interesting. That used to be the standard when I first started at SRP many decades ago. When the first jobs you sent out, most of the undergrounding of irrigation was being done by cast in place.
Yeah, there was a lot of slobber involved, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. Is anybody else have any comments on that presentation? Would you like to see it? Not like to see it? Any opposition to it? Because if not, I'm going to go ahead and put it on the agenda for next month.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, out in Buckeye, we do the same thing similar to Chandler. We've typically had CMP pipe, and we've seen this presentation before as well. And we've had a couple of projects that have put in the 10-foot diameter concrete pipe. So
Outside of right away or within?
outside of right of way.
Okay.
Yes. So definitely a good presentation.
Great. Thank you, Craig. Does anybody else have anything they want to bring up during this general discussion? All right.
Chair,
Go ahead, Gordon.
I didn't have a staff report on the agenda, but I did want to mention that first, thank you for all the people who responded to my request for updates to your contact information and for the Public Works directors. If you haven't responded yet and there are changes, could you please get those to me this week? We're trying to get our email lists all updated this week. So thanks again.
Thank you, Gordon. With that, I'm going to make a request for an agenda item for staff report. Might as well put it in there if there isn't anything to report. I know it was in a lot of the past agendas. I did not see it in this agenda. Let's throw it on the agenda. If there's nothing to report, we'll just skim right through it.
Sure, I can do that.
All right, we'll move into agenda item number 11, request for future agenda items. That's going to be the staff report. Any other requests for future agenda items? All right, hearing none, we'll move into agenda item number 12, comments from the committee. This is an opportunity will be provided to the committee members to present a brief summary of the current events. I know Ryan brought up a pretty good point at one of the meetings about Title 34 and the sunsetting of that. I'd pass that information on. Everybody was aware of it with our group at Glendale. They were aware of it, but they appreciated the reminder. I think we still need a vice chair. We talked. I need a full-time vice chair. I have a part-time vice chair. Talked to Jose Rodriguez. He said he'd cover in the event that I wasn't able to be here for this calendar year. So if we can find more of a permanent vice chair, we're open. Reach out to Gordon and myself if you're interested. It would be appreciated. Full-time commitment would be 2 years. But right now, at this moment, we are covered. Thank you, Jose, for stepping up to that. Any other comments from the committee? All right, hearing none, we'll call this meeting adjourned. See you all next month. Thank you.